Love, or addiction, the lie we believe. What if I told you that what feels like love might actually be addiction? Yeah, I mean the kind of craving that hijacks your brain. Just like a drug, we're taught love is noble, selfless. But ask yourself this: why do you stay with someone who constantly tears you down? Why do you chase their attention like it's oxygen? That's not devotion. That's dependency. It's the ego, hungry, restless, demanding a hit of validation. Alain de Botton once said, "We fall in love not with those who make us happy, but with those who feel familiar." Familiar can mean safe, sure, but it can also mean wounded. If your blueprint for love was built on neglect, chaos, or emotional roller coasters, guess what? Your heart doesn't just seek love, it seeks the high and the crash. Imagine love as a warm fireplace. Addiction? That's a wildfire. It burns bright, fast, and leaves nothing but ash. You think you're holding on to someone out of love, but maybe you're just terrified of being alone with yourself. And here's the kicker: the more toxic the person, the stronger the pull. Because your ego sees their rejection as a challenge to conquer. Not love. Just a game you refuse to lose. Sound harsh? Maybe. But if you felt seen just now, then you know I'm not wrong. The truth hurts, but it also heals. So, what is real love then? If it's not obsession, if it's not addiction, what's left? That's what we'll dig into next. Society glorifies bondage and calls it love. You've been lied to since before you could even spell the word love. Think about it. Fairy tales taught you that true love means suffering. Disney sold you the idea that if you just wait long enough, the beast becomes a prince. And Instagram? It's a highlight reel of hashtag couple goals that never shows the screaming matches, the anxiety, or the emotional blackmail behind the scenes. We grow up worshiping this fantasy version of love, where jealousy means passion, control means protection, and codependency gets rebranded as ride or die. But here's the truth. A lot of what society calls romance is just beautifully packaged bondage, emotional entrapment, a pretty prison with matching couple outfits. The philosopher Erich Fromm said it best in The Art of Loving. Real love is an act of will, not a fever dream. But culture keeps telling you love is something you fall into, like a trap. No wonder so many of us mistake chaos for chemistry. And you, yeah, you, might not even realize how deep that programming runs. Have you ever romanticized someone's silence, thinking they were just deep instead of emotionally unavailable? Ever felt a rush when they finally texted back after days of nothing? That's not love. That's your nervous system stuck in survival mode, mistaking inconsistency for intensity. It's time to snap out of the spell. But first, let's dig into why we cling to the dysfunction, even when it hurts. Toxic love has ancient roots. Toxic love isn't some modern glitch in the system. It's ancient code burned into our collective storybooks for thousands of years. Think Cleopatra and Antony. Their love was legendary, sure, but also drenched in betrayal, war, and mutual destruction. These weren't two soulmates riding off into the sunset. They were two powerful, wounded people clinging to each other while the world around them burned. Fast forward to today, and not much has changed. We binge-watch celebrity breakups like it's sport. Kanye and Kim, Megan and MGK, even Bennifer 2.0. It's the same pattern: intense passion, public drama, crashing endings, and we eat it up. Why? Because we've been taught that chaos means it's real, that if it doesn't hurt, it must not matter. But here's what no one tells you. This kind of love, this madness, has roots in myth, not health. Plato, in the Symposium, describes love as a divine madness. And yeah, there's beauty in that. But there's also danger. When you worship the rush, you ignore the red flags. You excuse the emotional whiplash because the highs feel like heaven. And maybe you've felt it too. The roller coaster. The I love you followed by a cold shoulder. The craving for the apology kiss after the fight. That isn't intimacy. That's trauma bonding dressed up as destiny. So let's be real. If toxic love is this ancient, then why do we keep repeating it like a curse? In the next part, we'll break down how to spot these patterns and how to break them. Jung on the shadow. You love what you fear. Here's a wild thought. What if the person you're obsessed with isn't your soulmate but your shadow in disguise? Carl Jung had a name for this, the shadow. It's all the parts of yourself you deny, repress, or pretend don't exist. The anger, the insecurity, the neediness. You bury it deep, but it doesn't disappear. It waits. And then one day, you fall in love with someone who embodies everything you secretly fear in yourself. Ever been drawn to someone emotionally unavailable? Maybe it's because you're afraid of intimacy. Craved someone chaotic? Maybe a part of you thrives on drama, even if your conscious mind swears you just want peace. That's your shadow pulling the strings. Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Think about that. You're not unlucky in love. You're playing out a script your unconscious mind wrote a long time ago. You're not addicted to them. You're addicted to what they mirror back at you. The wound, the rejection, the shame. You think you're loving them, but what you're really doing is dancing with a reflection of your own hidden self. And yeah, it's seductive. Because the shadow isn't evil, it's familiar. It's the version of you you never learned how to love. So here's the challenge. Instead of chasing people who awaken your shadow, what if you faced it head on? Next up, we'll talk about what that actually looks like and why it's the first real step toward healing love. The addictive pull of the wounded self. Here's a hard pill to swallow. You're not actually addicted to them. Nope. What's got you hooked is that wounded part inside you, the one whispering you're not enough. It's that tiny voice from childhood telling you, you don't deserve love, even when every fiber of your being screams otherwise. Think about it. Why do you keep running back to someone who treats you like an option? Why do you replay the same toxic scenes like a scratched record stuck on pain? Because your brain has wired comfort into discomfort. Crazy, right? You crave the chaos because deep down, it feels familiar. It feels like you. The psychologist Gabor Mate talks about this. The idea that addiction isn't really about the outside object, but about trying to soothe a deeper inner ache. You're not addicted to the other person's flaws or drama. You're addicted to the numbness you feel without it. The wounded self thrives in this pain, like a broken record stuck on repeat. So you might say, but I love them. And maybe you do. But that love is tangled up with something darker, a self-loathing that's been hiding in the shadows for years. Here's the kicker. The only way out isn't by changing them, it's by healing you. So, how do you even start to heal a self that's been so deeply hurt? That's exactly what we'll dive into next. Archetypes of desire: lover, trickster, victim. Let's get real for a second. Have you ever felt like you're playing a role in a messed up drama you didn't even audition for? That's because we all carry these ancient archetypes inside us, like characters in a play that shape how we love, fight, and survive. There's the lover, passionate, wild, craving connection. But when the lover gets tricked, they turn into the fool, chasing illusions, ignoring red flags, falling for the same toxic cycle again and again. Then there's the hero, the one who fights to save the day. But when the hero forgets their own limits, they slip into the martyr, sacrificing themselves, staying in pain, hoping someone notices their suffering. Sound familiar? Maybe you're the lover who keeps believing the next time will be different, or the victim who thinks, "Why does this always happen to me?" Or the trickster, playing games, hiding from real feelings, pushing people away before they get too close. The philosopher Carl Jung believed these archetypes aren't just stories, they're patterns we live out unconsciously, and when they get twisted, love turns toxic. Because you're no longer loving freely, you're trapped in a role. Here's the shocker: the same fire that fuels your passion can also burn you down. But the good news? Once you recognize your part in the play, you can rewrite the script. So, what would it take to step off the stage and be the author of your own love story? Stick around. We're about to find out. Integration, not escape, ends the cycle. You may think the way out is to just run, cut ties, block numbers, vanish. But here's a truth that flips the script. Real freedom doesn't come from escape. It comes from integration. Yeah, that buzzword you've probably heard a million times, but it's deeper than therapy jargon. It means facing those broken, messy parts of yourself, the parts you've shoved into the shadows, and claiming them as yours. Carl Jung taught that the shadow isn't some monster to banish. It's a lost piece of your soul, crying out to be seen. When you deny it, you stay fractured. You keep repeating the same toxic patterns, like a record stuck on skip. But when you embrace your shadow, when you look it in the eye without flinching, you start to piece yourself back together. This isn't easy. It's raw. It's painful, but it's also powerful. Because once you stop running from your darkness, it loses its grip on you. The addiction loosens. The craving fades. You realize you don't need someone else to fill that empty space anymore, because you're already whole. So next time you feel that pull toward chaos, that itch for drama, don't reach for the exit. Pause, breathe, meet yourself there. Because healing isn't about escaping your story. It's about owning it. And now, we're about to explore how that ownership actually transforms the way you love. Stay with me. Emotional sobriety is psychological power. Imagine this. What if emotional sobriety isn't some boring, rigid state, but actually the ultimate power move? It's not about building walls or shutting people out. No way. It's about mastering the inner chaos, the storm of feelings, cravings, and old wounds, so you can finally stand steady, no matter what's happening around you. Think of it like this. Your emotions are like waves in the ocean. When you're tossed around by every high and low, you're drowning in reaction. But emotional sobriety means becoming the calm lighthouse, steady, grounded, watching the waves roll by without getting swept away. Here's the kicker. Once you start building this awareness, those toxic people and situations lose their grip, because you're not reacting to their chaos anymore. You're choosing your response. You're breaking the cycle of addiction to drama, pain, and validation. This isn't some woo-woo feel-good idea. It's backed by science and psychology. When you practice emotional sobriety, your brain rewires. You get better at spotting triggers, managing urges, and making clear choices. But hey, this takes work. It's a daily practice, a commitment to show up for yourself, even when it's hard. So are you ready to stop being a puppet to your feelings? To turn that inner war into your greatest strength? Because coming up next, we're diving into how you actually build emotional sobriety and why it's the game changer in breaking toxic love cycles. Stay tuned. Letting go is an act of rebirth. Letting go sounds simple, right? But what if walking away isn't weakness at all? What if it's the boldest act of courage you can pull off? See, in the mess of toxic love, holding on feels like survival. But letting go? That's rebirth. Carl Jung called this process individuation, the moment your true self steps out from the shadows of chaos, pain, and codependency. It's not about running from your story. It's about stepping into a new chapter, one where you're whole, unchained, and fiercely alive. Think of a snake shedding its skin. Awkward, vulnerable, but necessary. You can't keep dragging around the old wounds and toxic patterns if you want to grow. Letting go is that skin coming off, revealing a stronger, truer you underneath. And here's the kicker. This isn't some lonely journey. It's a declaration, a scream to the universe that you refuse to settle for less than real love, that you choose yourself over the chaos. You might feel scared, lost, like you're breaking apart. But trust me, this breaking open is exactly how you become whole. So, are you ready to stop clinging and start rising? Because the next step, it's where freedom really begins. Stop chasing what wounds you. Here's the brutal truth nobody wants to say out loud. If love hurts this much, it's not love. It's a wound you keep reopening, over and over, because some part of you still believes you deserve that pain. Crazy, huh? Ask yourself, why do you keep chasing the very thing that breaks you? Why do you stay stuck in the loop, hoping this time it'll be different, when deep down you know it won't? That's the addiction talking. Not to them, but to the story you've been telling yourself about your worth. That whisper that says, I'm not enough, or this is all I can have. But here's the wild, liberating secret. You do deserve better. Way better. You deserve a love that builds you up, not tears you down. So what if today you stopped chasing what wounds you? What if you started chasing healing instead? It's scary, yeah, but also freaking powerful. Because real love, it doesn't hurt. It sets you free. The cycle ends when you decide it does. Choose freedom. Choose you. Peace out.